Hey, this is Caleb with the game Fanatics, and we're here with Bob Roberts, the design director for Shadow of War, the much anticipated sequel to Shadow of Mordor. Thanks for having us. We just got to play the game for a little bit, which was awesome, so we just wanted to chat with Bob and have a few questions. Could you just briefly tell us about the world and story of the new game as we come from Shadow of Mordor?
Sure, yeah. So we're picking up right where we left off at the end of Shadow of Mordor. Spoilers. Talion says it's time to forge a new ring, and that's right where we start Shadow of War. We're forging a new ring of power, trying to go into Mordor and actually assemble an army to challenge Sauron directly.
Very cool. And the army building was one of the new features that we got to try a little bit of, which was very awesome. Could you talk a little bit about that system and what that'll look like in the grand scheme of the game?
So we have these huge fortresses that you're trying to conquer throughout Mordor and take over, and you have to build an army large enough to do these kind of epic Helm's Deep style siege battles, and so you start to develop relationships with these guys that are on your side. Last time, the Nemesis System is all about enemies and revenge and hate, and this time you've got buddies who can actually save you, who can do helpful, useful things, and develop that positive relationship. Of course, if they betray you, then more hate. Even sharper sometimes, but yeah, fleshing out both sides of the table is a big part of the new features in the Nemesis System, and building up to the big fort assault battles that you can take over. And once you've conquered a fort and you've got your army with you, now you can put those guys in charge and keep kind of growing them and leveling up. You have a stronger and stronger fort, so there's more reason to keep investing in these guys, whereas last time I think we got a little bit like, once you dominate everybody, you're kind of clear, but now there's more reason to keep the relationships going and keep growing them too.
So are you able to actually pour resources and items and stuff into them, give them new equipment and stuff, or is it more you will be focusing on them and putting them into battle and growing them as characters on your team?
As an assault force, you can upgrade, you can buy upgrades to bring into the battles, like siege beasts and extra troops of different, specialties, mounted cavalry and things like that. Same thing with the defense. Once you own the fort and you put them in charge, you can grow the fort, make it bigger, and add these big upgrades to it. But then on that personal level, for the war chief or the captain that you've got on your team, if you just want him to personally get stronger, you send him on missions, help him level up, and he'll start growing and gaining you strengths as well.
Awesome. Could you talk a little bit about the open world features of the game? Obviously the open world of the first one was one of the big draws of it, and there was a lot of freedom to run around and do what you want. Playing the demo, it looked like there was a lot of new different quest types and just a variety of things you could do, whether it was fighting the Balrog or taking on the forts, to just going off and killing random dudes.
Yeah, I mean, the world is a lot bigger this time around. Last time we had these 2 regions. We've got a lot more. We got 5 regions this time. They're all bigger. And there's a wider variety of activities to do, like you were saying. And we also have expanded a lot of the moment-to-moment kind of controls to help as well, like navigation options. We've put a lot of work into navigating the world smoother and faster, so you time your climbing to shoot up things much faster, and double jump is pretty classic, oldest move in games practically, but in this new context feels really good to leap off the roof and chain across to a more distant place, and aerial range, going into range mode, aiming while you fly through the air slowly and target a guy and shadow strike another distance. So we got a lot more tools in the toolbox to run around and do crazy, chaotic, choreographed death all around Mordor. Yeah.
What is probably the most exciting thing for you about the new game coming out?
Hands down, the most exciting thing about it actually releasing into the world is getting to see people's descriptions of what weird story they developed with their Nemesis guys. The heart and soul of the game, the whole point is the dynamic relationships that you build with these characters. The fact that all the orcs are procedural, and there's just so much content there for people to mine, and so many ways that it can twist and turn depending on your interactions with them, that reading people's descriptions or watching their videos of whatever crazy thing happened to them is it's so much more satisfying to me than any other aspect of if you watch someone describe the same mission over and over, if the mission plays the same, it gets boring after a while. But when it's a crazy dynamic sandbox and every person's little personal Nemesis story is totally different from the others, it's just endlessly fun to read people's stories.
And just the last question, not on the serious side. Since you find yourself creating hordes and hordes of orcs, do you ever find yourself feeling like the Dark Lord?
Yeah, I have a funny anecdote about this actually. So my friend, who's one of our writers, he was at home working on scripts, and he's writing orc dialogue. So he's just endlessly writing, like, I'm gonna rip your guts out and stuff them down your throat. I'm gonna rip your feet off and stuff them in your, like, variations of horrible, nasty things. But he's writing dialogue and he's having fun and he loves his job. And his daughter is sitting there and she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "This is what I do for a living." And she just goes, "Get a new job." It's like, I guess it's pretty horrible sounding, huh?